Hello, hello. Happy Friday. It's so weird to be live on a Friday like this. You're probably all watching Jen. I was too. Are you guys ready to sew the Donny? I can't wait. I actually really loved fitting this. Like, it was fun. I think I might do more things like that, even if I don't sew the garment, just muslins. Because that's the kind of stuff that's really fun, you know? I mean, the dress form helps. What is this right here? Oh, okay, I know what that is. Being picky. It's a way to hold a camera. It's just distracting. How are you? I might just get going. I bet everybody's over at Jen Stern's live right now with the interview with Kate from The Confident Stitch. Her Instagram is so funny. I'm glad I got to hear my Palmer and Pletch question. Hi, Julie. Hi, Anna. Hi, Aisha. How's it going? I saw some of you over there. Hi, Renee. Welcome, welcome. Oh, here, I can leave this here. And we're doing this jam linen. It looks a little hotter on screen. In person, it's mellower. It looks literally like strawberry jam. Strawberry jam, maybe more like raspberry jam, honestly. You know, it's got the, it's like a watermelon red, not a tomato red, so. All right, Tiffany, no worries. Hi, Sue. Hi, Lean. Yeah, no worries, Aisha. I know, I don't usually stream on Fridays. So, we can jump into it. So if you missed the fitting, I did a fitting part 1 and part 2, which was awesome. And my latest muslin is right there on the dress form. But we made a couple changes since that muslin, or I did. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Julie. Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. I said hi to you, Julie. Let's see. I increased the dart amount. I lengthened it 2 inches. And I made it 2 inches bigger in circumference. So it's going to be quite a bit bigger than that. Quite a bit. 2 inches, you know. Like this blouse has it hardly has any ease, right? It'll be a lot boxier than that. So, all right, let's go to the iron. I'm going to iron the interfacing on first so that they're just ready. I usually do this after cutting off camera, but I don't know. I kind of like it when I do everything on camera because it saves my off-camera time for other things. And right now I've been working on a new pattern. And I'm writing the instructions, which is like, honestly, the most tedious part. There's little red flecks on it. I don't want to immortalize them. So we'll do the facing here. Are you guys ready for the weekend? I'm glad this fabric doesn't have a right or wrong side. I mean, nah, I just don't think it does. I think it's a pretty plain weave. So I was ironing this blouse I'm wearing today, and I used my tried and true tricot as the interfacing on it, and it's doing that thing, you guys. Oh, no. Don't do that. This is why I don't push it at first. I kind of steam it on first. All right, get rid of that. Get it while it's hot. Yeah. The interfacing looks thick. Really? It's wrinkly because I washed it. But it's not. It's pretty thin. Yeah, my tricot is bubbling. I am telling you, something happened with the glue. Yep, I don't know. I was about to take a picture of it. and show it in the guild feed. I'll show you maybe on the other camera, but yeah. I mean, look at that. What's that? Look at that. You can see the outer fabric is shrinking on top of this. And I've washed and dried this. I'm going to be savage with this interfacing, I'm telling you. I'm going to be savage with it. Let's see if we can get that back on track. I think block fusing in some ways is the way to go, as long as it's, yeah, actually don't quote me on that. I don't know. I'm a little nervous about interfacing this collar. Here's my under collar. So we're gonna do this one. Don't want to immortalize this stuff. It's really hard to see these little threads. They will cause a little bump. I'm super particular about this, probably more so than I need to be with garment sewing. But when I used to manufacture things with this white stiffener, the stiffener was just so stiff that any little thread sitting on it between the outer layer would show. And if it, say it was a dark thread, you would see it through the fabric, and there's just no getting it out. It would ruin a whole product, one little tiny thread. I mean, for us it would. We just had kind of a low tolerance for that. We didn't accept it. So I look for that now. This is the top collar. Yeah, I agree, Rachel. I think it's really, really wasteful. You know, I'm wondering, you know what actually would be a really good thing, a good practice for me to do is to iron the fabric, iron the heck out of the fabric, right? Then apply the interfacing. Because that's kind of what some of the problem is. I'm not saying this is all the problem. Some of the problem is that the outer fabric, no matter if you've washed and dried it, I didn't iron this fabric out of the dryer, and my policy on that is that I hope that I don't have to iron it. So I try to sew the garment without ironing the fabric so that it's relaxed, and kind of that way when I cut it out, like say let me reverse this. Say I can go to the other camera. So say I got my fabric out of the dryer and then I ironed it perfectly smooth and flat. I cut out my garment and then I go to wash it and I'm like, oh, it didn't wrinkle that much. I could just leave it like this, which is great, right? That's ideal, but it's smaller now because the wrinkles in it, even if they're not like really prominent wrinkles, they're just more like fabric that's kind of, you know, looks a little laundered. That makes your garment smaller overall. And so that's why I don't, typically on fabrics that I think will pass for not ironing, like this one, I don't iron it. But then when I go to put on interfacing, I should iron the heck out of it, because then when I apply the interfacing, it's not going to flatten it out more, right? Or it'll take up a little bit more of the shrinkage if there is any. So anyway, Hi, Justine. Right? Yeah, it's total common sense, Terry. And I feel like I was doing that at some point, and it just kind of got lost in the list of things I do. So, like things do. All right, let's do the pocket. Let me put these back in order. I'm kind of weird about my bin. You probably can't tell that, but I like my bin. No, I'm not going to iron everything anyway, but maybe just the things that are going to get interfaced. And see, the thing is, someone that's very, like, can pick up on subtleties will know that, well, hey, if you're ironing that collar, you're not ironing the garment. You're going to have a tough time getting it in there, and it's true. But at the same time, I'm willing to deal with that, you know? Okay, so I'm going to do my darts, and then we'll press them and the pocket together. My dart. Look how big this guy is. Hubba hubba. I had so much trouble winding this thread on my bobbin, you guys. I don't know what the deal was. What's going on here? Why does it sound different? Oh, it's winding a bobbin. Oh, I just heard back from Jen. It's so hard to do what Jen just did. Like every time we do that, it is a huge amount of brain power to do the technical stuff of, I'm talking about Jen Stern, who was just interviewing Kate from the Confident Stitch on her YouTube channel. And it's so hard to, you basically have to trick your encoder, your streaming software, into letting you stream this other window on your computer, and it's the audio that's the problem. So every time we do this, we have to figure it out, and every time it's a different solution. It's really aggravating. So my hat is off to her because she keeps doing these, and we think, oh, it'll start getting easier, and it just has not gotten easier. Oh yeah, that's true, Terry. That's exactly. See, I think that method is perfect then, because it would, if you could kind of keep the, you know, interfacing on the interior, then you will keep those. Oh my gosh, I just reached over there to backstitch. That's so annoying. My new machine's changing me. But yeah, if you can keep the seam allowances relaxed, that would probably help that then, right? Keep it all the same. Oh, I should have curved. I should have curved sooner. I like to, because this dart's a little long. Like you can tell this dart, see how fitted my top is? The dart comes way, the darts are right here, the end right here. The further your dart goes towards your apex, the more fitted you can get it. But then I usually, when I get to the end of the vanishing point at the dart, I usually curve it and kind of run parallel to the fold. So I will come down like this, and then as I approach the fold, I'll exaggerate it with my one fingernail that I have right now, and I come down, and then I'm like here. I'm like running along this fold right here, so to sort of curve it, you know. All right, so let's press these and then press the pocket. Let me reply to Jen. Sorry, I'm texting on a stream. I'm pretty good about never doing that, right? Let's see, I made the dart press up, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a long dart. I hope that I like that. What's that dust right there? So let's see, it looks like we have like 1 inch of hem on the pocket. How do I want to sew this? Let's see. Do I just want to like fold it like this and just hem the top? Or do I want to make it wider? I think I'm going to make it a little wider. And then stitch it down like that. Should I pre-fold I never do this. Let's do it. Just because I love ironing. I'm a weirdo. I love ironing, so I'm gonna pre-fold my pocket. I never do it, I usually just wing it. But with this kind of malleable fabric, it's probably gonna help a lot. I always do the sides first. So when we have these pockets that have angles, I do the sides first, then I'll do the bottom. Because if I do this, then this, then this, then this, then this, it won't be symmetrical. I am not that good. I am not that good. This way, if I do it, you can already see they're not symmetrical, right? So let's fold this up now. And then let's look at the other side here, like this. If I had my hero marker over here, I would draw a line right here, but my thumbnail does the trick. That's my secret weapon, is that I have a built-in hero marker right now. Yeah, so she takes the template, slips it in there, and then wraps the fabric around it. Good, it's a good technique. Oh, I don't think I marked my pocket. Well, shoot dang. Do you guys put your pocket on your left side? I'm gonna put it on my left front. That seems logical. Is it? Oh, it's not in the photo though. Well, I'm putting it on my left front. So there. Let's see, this is on the fold, so it's definitely not the front. Here we go. Okay. So I have a song stuck in my head, but it's so good and I'm so into it. But it's so stuck. I'm afraid I'll start singing or something. Okay. I'm just going to lay this on here. Can you look like I cut you nicely, please? Just pretend. Why did I do this so that it's my left hand? Oh yeah, like if you have a purse strap, that's actually good. I doubt I'll put anything in this pocket because this fabric is so whooshy. I feel like it would make it really like slump it down on that side, you know? Right here to right here. This is my, I brought it in an inch. I brought it in an inch. Like I brought it towards the center an inch. The dart looks really long, but it's a pretty wide blouse. So I'm trusting the process, trusting the fitting that we did. And the dart's gonna cover up this one. Always fun times, right? When you have to cover the shaping of a dart. This pocket's tiny. I don't think much is going in there. It is purely for show. Do I want to wrestle with the dart? I think I can get it on there. I don't want to highlight it. Let's see what we think here. Did you, Aisha? That's nice. I think that'll work. Yeah. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. All right, so I'm going to turn down these little corners. I haven't done a patch pocket in a while, but I'm going to turn down the little corner right here. This red is not great on screen, is it? It works on all fabrics. Whether you can see it on all fabrics is, why does the camera go dark now every time I zoom? That's such a weird glitch. That is such a weird, it's like it goes to default. Yeah, it's going back to the default. It's really weird. Oh, the tilt is all the way up. There we go. Yeah, so the hair marker, whether you can see it on the fabric, so it's not going to work on, say, like a really fluffy boucle, right? Or, you know, it just depends. But you're not going to hurt anything. I really don't think. So sometimes I just can't see it, and I do have to use something like pins or chalk or something. But I use it for a lot of stuff. I'm super addicted to it now. It just works so good. And I know it'll wash out, right? Because there's nothing to wash off. It's kind of funny that mine has all this like marking on it too. I don't even feel that. Like, what's that from? Maybe I might have used it like to transfer a pattern marking onto something. And that's the ink from the pattern. That makes sense. I was thinking, ooh, maybe I'll wear this tomorrow. I'm going to a big fabric sale. And I realized, oh no, I can't do that. I did this with one of the things that I sewed for hearts. Oh, the crop jacket. I started wearing it all the time. And I was like, oh, this has to go to them and sit in their store. You can tell when something's been worn a lot. So I won't make that mistake with this. But I was already planning my next Donny. I just like this silhouette. Or maybe even a sleeveless one. I like the idea of a sleeveless one. Here we go. All right, so we have our darts and we have our pocket. Why does my pocket look a little wonky? All right, now we're going to do the yoke. I'm doing this, just so you know, I'm not doing this in the same order as the instructions. They do have a sew along on their website. I can't remember if it's a video or a blog, but they may even have both. So if you want to do it in the order they're doing it and you want to attach the collar the way they did, you can refer to their sew along. I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to get the exact same result. And it's not that theirs is wrong or anything. I just like how the collar will be on the neck, sewn to the neck of this method. So just so you know, don't get mad at me. I've had a lot of snarky people lately. Like, okay. All right, so we're gonna add the gathering stitch along the back yoke here. Probably could have used my shearing foot, but I think there's a lot more gathers than the shearing foot's going to get, because we actually do stitch through the gathers on this. So yeah, the shearing foot's not going to work for this. And I'm going to do, I don't do the burrito method. I'm just going to warn you. I know this triggers a few people. It did not exist when I learned how to sew a yoke together. So I do it my way. And I find this way works great. It's easy. The burrito method is, it's all right. Okay, so the first one we'll just, oh, it's a 5/8 inch seam now. Line up those centers. Where'd that center notch go? That's it right there. It's very subtle. And where are you at there? Okay, there we go. So there we go. We want it there. and there. Oh, all right, for your new round table, Terry. That sounds awesome. I love that. I'm kind of getting closer. Oh, I didn't change the seam allowance on this. That's right. I was wondering why it's still lined up at 3/8. That's why, because it's still 3/8. I don't need the 5/8 for a yoke seam. Make sure this gathering thread is in the seam allowance so I don't have to deal with it later. This bobbin is still winding. The thread was so slippery. Okay, I like to pull down my gathers kind of straight down. Okay. So I'm always, see how the gathers here, like it's good to kind of give them just a gentle tug straight down. Make sure that they're perpendicular because you don't really want them to fold over, you know, like this. See if I can pick like this or like this, right, and get caught. So I just give them kind of a gentle tug. You guys ready for the weekend? The weather's been so crazy here. It got really hot and then yesterday it got cool again. I was planning on wearing my ruler dress and I was so excited. But it's gonna be too cool tomorrow to wear it. So I'm kind of bummed. We can't wait to wear it, you know? All right, let's check our gathers. It looks good. Let's iron this real quick. This one I always find a little tricky to iron, so I will peel this back and kind of gently tug this up so that I know that the yoke isn't slumping below the seam, right? Especially right here. And then I'll lift this one up, sort of press it up, and then I'm gonna iron it, but I'm not gonna do like a final iron from here. Now I'm gonna turn it over and make sure. You see, it was trying to slump down. Oh, shoot, what was that? I have this little trivet here, and it keeps catching on my cord lately. Okay. All right, that looks good. I don't know which is the right side. They look pretty good either way. Gonna gently iron it. All right, and now we can top stitch. Yeah, right, Rachel, exactly. The heater in this build, or the HVAC in this building in particular, just can't handle that. I have to press the buttons over and over to get it to click over to heat or AC, depending on what it needs. And my office gets really hot, no matter what, even if it's cold out. Today it's kind of perfect because it's kind of chilly in here. I like it that way. All right, and so now we're gonna do our fronts. This is where my method kind of differs from burrito. So I'm gonna put this, oh, do we want a tag right here or on the inside? What do we want tag-wise? Let's figure it out here. I have these misfits that I don't think I'll ever use because they have scratchy thread. Well, those have scratchy thread. These don't. Party dress, can't stop, won't stop, nailed it. Okay, what do we want? What? I kind of like that. That's kind of cute. What? Let's do that. All right, we're gonna do this on the inside first. All right, so I'm trying to decide how to get the center line there. We're going to stitch it down on the yoke and not in the collar seam. Oh, good thing I did fold it in half because that's the center, not where that crease line was. That's the center. And this is the inside. This will make it easier to keep track of the inside as well. I think Libby gave me this. I think it's great. You know, labels are a nice gift for a sewist. It feels like the decadent thing you want and can use, but you may not buy for yourself all the time. I think it's a really good sewist gift. It's like permission, you know? Look at us thinking about the label. Who am I? There we go. Oh, wait. There's a bot? Yeah, right. It's yeah, it's just it's like a fun little gift, you know. You will use it. All right, so now let's do our shoulders. So I put them right sides together like this. I pick up just the top layer of the yoke here. And then I'm going to flip it around, right sides together, and sew my sandwich. Get it started. I pull down the bottom layer and then the top two that I had already kind of arranged and sew them together. There's one. Boop. And then now we'll do our other one. Like this. So again, I do it right sides together. Pick up the top two, the outer back and the front. And then, you know, we'll start this and we'll flip it around, right sides together. Get it started. There we go. All right, let's press that. Again, I'm going to get a nice little tug so that the yoke on the inside and the outside, neither is blumping over, you know, like this. Okay. Let's look at this one here. Yeah, see that? I got a little blumping. 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 Let's double check this side then. It wants to, but it's not. Okay, we're okay there. You're gonna have to watch that part. Oh, the way I do a yoke. I have a video for it. Just a dedicated video for it on my channel. It's in the How to Essential Videos playlist. I can't remember what I named that playlist, but it's some form of those words. It's either like quick how-to essentials or how-to essentials or something like that. And it's one of the first videos I like uploaded that wasn't a live stream, so it's older. But that's how I sew yokes. The burrito works great. I just have never needed that because I had figured this out a long time ago. And see, when I learned to sew, they were telling us to sew it all right sides together, you know, and then you would do like one of the seams as a sandwich, but then the other one you would turn under the edge, pin it, and then sew it from the right side and hope you caught it. And I just hated this. And so I didn't tell anybody because I thought I was breaking a sewing rule. And I was like, I could just sew this right sides together. And so I just kind of fiddled with it and did it. And I did this all the time. And I remember one of the like older sewing like people that were really good at sewing, she was looking at my shirt because it was on display in the store, and she was like, Saremy, how are you doing this yoke? Like, it looks like you sew it right sides together on all of your seams. And I was like, well, is that wrong? And she's like, no, I just want to know how you're doing it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I showed her, and she was like, oh, okay. So I just have always done it that way. You just do what works for you. All right, so now we're on to the collar. So I'm gonna put this right here. So we're gonna sew the perimeter of the collar, right sides together. I'm gonna put this facing side up. So remember, the swoopy edge is your neckline, and the two straight edges are the outer collar. So that's what we're gonna sew right sides together. You know, Sarah, if you can't find a label that doesn't tickle or scratch you, I sometimes just take like a piece of bias binding. I'm like, I've got to have a piece around here. I just take a little piece of bias, like just cut a little piece off, and then just sew that in, because bias is so soft, you know, and at least it's something. You don't have to put a label, you know. This has 3/8 inch seam allowance. I know I usually sew my collars at 1/4 inch, but I didn't change the seam allowance on this, so I am sewing it at the recommended seam allowance because 3/8 is fine. That works. I made an under collar though, so that is one thing different I did on this pattern. I don't know why they wouldn't do an under collar. It's a notched collar. That would be really helpful for some folks. A notched collar I think of as something a little more elevated as a pattern. So I want to do the elevated sewing on it. That under collar is a little bigger though from not being interfaced. I don't know. I didn't see it. I don't know what Julie saw. She probably just wanted attention. All right. Turn my collar points here. Yeah, you guys don't need to summon them, huh? YouTube's been really good about it, honestly. You'll pass on the gift that I gave you, Terry. Yeah, I mean, if chat's going by fast, it's hard. And it is when they're spamming. All right, so let's line up this neck edge here. Roll that and get right on the edge there. I pressed this seam first. See how I pressed it kind of flat? I did that so that it will lay nicer when I turn it this way. It'll want to be flatter because it's already pressed, right? We'll do it a little better. I am trying not to press too much because I don't want my collar to get big. I guess it won't. It'll kind of shrink it too. Kind of a balancing act, isn't it? All right, line up the neck edge, and I'm trying to make sure I see a peak of the top collar along this edge here, and I'll show you better on the other camera. And that's why I made the under collar a little smaller, right? It'll make the collar look nicer. You can kind of see. Hi, Sydney, how's it going? That. See, so this little bit showing is the top collar. Yeah, understitch helps too. Tone down this brightness a little bit. Why is this so, this is like not acting right. It's really delayed. I'm gonna leave it there and hope that that's actually what I'm seeing. That looks a little better. So that's the top collar so that we don't have any of the under collar showing. Vertical label and reversible gun is almost identical front to back when I get around to making the tape. I don't know. Is it a button front? Is it a button up? Because you can put it inside the placket. No, it's something, I've noticed it all week. There's something going on with the brightness in Streamlabs, which is my streaming software. So every time I open to edit it, it reverts to default brightness. Hi, Jackie. Oh, let me show you. See, do you see the bubbling happening? See it? Trico. Betrayal. Betrayal. But Sarah, if you have a placket, you could put your label inside like the placket. Yep. See, so are we in agreement that we think it's not us? It's not us. I'm pretty sure. Hi, Jan. I was just thinking about you the other day. Do we want to top stitch this? I'm kind of liking untop stitched collars lately. Yeah, same, Jackie. I mean, it wasn't for me until now. It's an auto white balance, but the red is super hard. It's one of the hardest colors for me to get right. I can show you, but I do think something's up right now with Streamlabs. So, so if I take off auto white balance, it makes the machine pink. It's pretty hard to get it so that it's cool without the red being too hot. I feel like that's pretty good. But yeah, see, now my machine's pink again. Fitted knit tank top and a long line bra. Then do you have to have a label in it? Oh, see, now I just opened this up and it reverted again. So yeah, I just don't think it's a really good fabric for cameras. That's just how it is sometimes. And my cameras aren't DLSR cameras because I have so many of them. Just the SD cards alone would cost me a whole camera. So yeah. Streaming is a little different. Okay, so where's my facing? Here's my facing right here. Okay, so this is the way I put on this kind of collar. I'm gonna put this on pretty much identically to how I do my camp collars as well, and I have a tutorial for that. So it's kind of, I bounce back and forth on each layer of the collar. So I'll show you how I do this. I came up with this method, maybe someone else has too. I came up with this method because one of the things I really hated with camp collars especially is that where you clip the notch right here for the shoulder, that right there, sometimes on the inside you would see a little like fraying happening right there, right? So I see Aisha. So I just kind of worked on a different way to do this. So you can do whatever you want. The directions they have will be different. What they do is they have you sew the yoke on, they show the yoke to the facings as one layer, and then you have your outer garment with like fronts and yoke as the other layer. And then you sew the collar in as a sandwich. Oh, thanks, Renee. Yeah, I mean, I wish they were better. Trust me. So that is one way to go about it. The reason I'm not going to do that is that I actually am so used to doing it this way that started making me kind of spiral into like, but what about this? What about that? The thing I also don't like about that is that it leaves your yoke completely loose to your other yoke. So then you are kind of in the same boat that you'd eventually have to top stitch it down, and your neck seam wouldn't be sewn together. So the collar and the facing would be like this, like if this is the neckline right here, they would just be attached here. And you can stitch in the ditch and secure it around the facing and the neckline. They offer that, but it's not the same. So, oh yeah, around the hem. There you go. I like that. Okay, so I'm going to put my collar right side up. So this is the outer collar. Should I brighten it up again? And then we're going to get the one facing. I know it would probably be easier if I pinned all this for you guys, but I don't usually pin, but I will try. Okay, so we're going to line up the notches on the facing to the center front. Try and be precise about that right there, because this little spot right here is going to be in my opinion, the hardest part on this whole shirt. Right here when we get back to it. Okay, so we're going to sew up along the front. I'm going to show you what's going to happen. So we have our facing lined up to the neckline here, right? Why isn't my facing reaching the neckline? Oh, there it is. Okay, good. Do I want to, it won't, yeah, I'm going to fold this under. I'm going to fold this under like this. Okay. I'm going to fold that down. Because of the way this is finished, we eventually top stitch around the facing. All right, so, oh, actually I need this. We'll do this. I should just iron this. Okay. So my collar is right side up. That's the under collar side. This is the side that will show to the world. And we're going to line it up to the notch right here at the neck. And I'm looking at the seam line. So the seam line hitting the neck is about right here, right? That should line up to where this notch is. So you got to do your best there. That's tricky, right? So we'll pin this. We're going to sew from this notch here up, around, and we're going to stop about right here, like 1.5 inches away from the shoulder seam. All right. All right, so let me get this all. Go straight up the front here. We'll pivot. I really hate the camera right now. Sorry. Please zoom. See, then it gets dark again. Why? What is going on with this thing? Is this better over here? It's very laggy. Let's move that over there. Okay, so now I'm going to come up to this notch here, and then we'll be on the collar and sewing it all together. And I'm sort of curving I keep all my layers separate so that I can manage them. So we're just keeping that collar lined up to the neckline. I'm kind of pulling the collar so this curve kind of lines up as I go. You can pin this if you like, but it's just so hard to pin that I'd rather struggle with this. All right, so we're gonna get about 1.5 inches away. It doesn't have to be perfectly precise. And then back stitch. And then we're gonna do the same on the other side. I didn't really get my seam allowance good there though, so let's fix that real quick. One of my collar layers was sticking out from under, so I was trying to ignore that. So let's just fix this real quick. It'll fit better if you stay perfectly on the seam line, because that's the measurement it's supposed to measure. Where did I start cutting that? Right there? I think so. So let's fix that real quick. Pull it down a little bit. Pull this down a little bit. I still have to do it from this side. See how my collar is sticking out past? Let me trim that off so it's not confusing looking. That'll make more sense visually. It'll also help me keep on track better. All right, so, oh yeah, it's a lot easier to stay lined up then. Okay, that's a little better. All right, I'm going to clip into all layers right there at that point. And then we're going to clip this neckline as well. Be really careful, it's pretty thick and it's perfect for slicing right through. I'm going to trim my corner. And now we're going to do the other side. All right, and then same thing. Here's my front, here's my collar. Stay stitching the neckline would have been a really good idea. Sorry. I sometimes just get going so fast that I skip these things. Where's my other facing? Oh, it's right here in my lap. All right. And then I'm going to do this one from the back side. So we'll line up our notches. Here. Put the shirt up on the table so it's not pulling down. Kind of get it arranged. Go all the way up. This part's not the hard part, except that my front needs to be eased a little bit because of the interfacing. That, I could probably do like a half stitch more. Turn. And then now we're approaching this notch right here. And the collar. I'm trying to get this shirt. All right, so I've got it there. I line up the edge of the collar right here where the seam line would hit. That is what needs to line up to the notch. Now I'm on the collar. I can kind of take a second to rearrange again. Let's turn under my shoulder seam. You could also just overlock the edge and not turn it under. That would work. That'll be more obvious why we're doing that later on. All right, so then here we are, sort of easing it on. Not easing it, but just kind of ooching. The shirt is going to get, like especially in this fabric, it's going to get kind of relaxed. So we're just going to go to about 1.5 inches away again, like there, okay? And same thing, we're going to clip up to that edge where we sewed, all the way up. Clip the curve. Oh, it's raining again. Jeez Louise. Trim your corner. All right. So now, the next step, see how a stay stitch would have helped a lot, is we're going to peel apart the collar like this. And we're going to sew the facing to the collar the rest of the way. So the facing goes up to the shoulder notch right here. And I like to do this so that I can kind of see exactly where I am going to sew up to. If I pull this away, I can kind of see too. It'll be a little easier from this side. So I pulled this all away, right? So I just have facing and top collar. It's a struggle. And then, so now those two are together, all right? And then we're going to do the same on the other side. Yeah, it's red. Red's hard. And then do the same on the other side. So I'm going to notch. And I go right up to where we stopped sewing right here. You see, that's where I stopped. Oops, sorry, that's where I stopped sewing. You can barely tell. There's like no space in between, but that's my big clip, right? So now these are separate. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the whole shirt and sew it to the under collar only. And again, I want to go right up to where I keep stopping the sewing right there, so it looks seamless. Oh my God, it's pouring out there. All right, so now once I got it under there, kind of arrange everything. It's dumping. I think it might be hailing. This is nuts. Gosh, it got really dark. It's also really, oh my, even my mouse is super. Wrong one. Just a second, let me do a little bit more tweaking. I have the brightness so far up. I'm going to take the sharpness up. Just know that my hands don't look that bad in real life. That looks a little better. Look at my hands. They look dehydrated. All right. So then I'm at the center back neck now. And we're just trucking along here, under collar only to the neckline. It's interesting, when I saw the way they sewed the notched collar in their instructions, it's the same way that they sew it in the Rita shirt dress. Do I have a basement? No. I mean, I'm in an office. I rent a studio space, and I'm on the 2nd floor. Basements aren't very common in California, but they're not unheard of. Okay, let me peel this back. So see how I peeled this all the way back? It's pulling the whole garment this way. Get it so that the under layers are going to stay relaxed. See, like that. So see how I pulled it back, and now this right here is collar. So now we're gonna pull it, and there's my collar, right? So now let's clip this neckline. We can check it first. Let's kind of give it a once over on the right side. Make sure I didn't get any tucks. There's a thread there. That looks okay. So now we're going to clip into this neckline here. The example I use on the camp collar video is a lot easier to see all these details because the fabrics aren't fighting me so much. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description to that video if you're interested in sewing. If you have trouble, if you sew a lot of camp collars or collars where there's no back neck facing, there's just a front facing. This is a pretty, it seems complicated, but it makes sense once you do it. You're like, okay, we get kind of the part that looks terrible out of the way in that first step by making it not look terrible. And then on the others, you're just sewing outer to outer, lining to lining. And now we're going to turn, we can pull these pins out here. We're going to turn this collar and enclose all of it here. So I'm going to line up this center like that. And we're going to edge stitch this on the right side, or it looks like the inside of the garment, but when you think about this folding down, it's the right side. But it'll be hidden in the under collar, so it doesn't really matter how this looks. So when you turn it, I like to put this, I feel like making my whole face thing a lot smaller. I like to put this right side up like this. And so when we're going to start turning this right side out. So let's start with our collar point here, right? And then when you get right up to this where the first seam stopped right here, we're going to push all of this up into the collar. And you have to be kind of intentional about it because right here at the clip, it kind of wants to sag back down, right? So, but if you get it nice in there, it makes a huge difference. So get that pushed up there. This won't push up, right? Because we sewed that all layers right sides together. But past the cut, and look, that is perfectly clean, right? And that is where, that would normally be the problem spot in the traditional way you sew these. Not the way they have you sew it, but the traditional way you sew like a camp collar. This isn't a camp collar, this is a notched collar. People are calling it a camp collar, but it's not. We included this top in our summer camp sew along last summer because it does still have that like fun, relaxed camp shirt vibe, you know? So, all right, and so now we just turn under this edge here. And I'm sort of paying attention to making sure the collar's nice and flat. I'm not pulling too hard. I still want my under collar to stay under there. And look at that, it's already looking really nice, right? Except for the camera. All right, and so now I'm gonna start on this side. So put my thumbnail there. Turn the point, and then right here at the clip, we're going to push this into the collar. So I'm really intentional, like fuss with that little spot right there. And now push it up there. Don't take no for an answer there. It will want to do it once you kind of say, hey, look at this cozy place I made for you, you know? And then I'm just taking the collar just past the seam we sewed, but allow the seam allowance to kind of tell you how much of it wants to be used, because sometimes, you know, things happen, cutting, sewing, there's a lot of layers going on, and we really want our collar edge to look nice. That's the number one thing we're most concerned. Doesn't matter to clip the triangles when doing curves. If it's really bulky, you want to do the triangles or like half of a parallelogram. I think of it that way. I want to see here. Can I have a little bit of slack right here. You see that? And it's because I didn't stay stitch my neckline, so I'm sort of cheating by trying to line up this facing right there at the shoulder. It should line up there, but Saremy wasn't very good about managing her fabric. So we'll let it relax a little bit. Remember, this is it'll feel a little bit tight because We've clipped all the layers except the layer that of the edge of the collar that's getting turned up into the collar, but don't pre-clip it. It's just one of those things where in a perfect world, yes, we could pre-clip this edge we turned under and it would lay a little nicer. Depending on your fabric and your number of times you've done this, I don't recommend it unless you really feel confident, because the little clips can be kind of a nightmare to manage. You know, they will fray at every little point, and if it doesn't get turned under and you don't catch it, and it also creates points in your fold, you know. So I don't do it. It lays fine. So here, right here, we have this little, so do we need to clip this more? No, we're fine. That's fine. Just making sure. I saw a little pulling. All right, push that all the way in there. Give it some good tugs, you know. Let it lay nice and flat. That looks better. So that's kind of the worst thing you're gonna get right there, but the collar is gonna fold over that, as opposed to when you would see the little fraying right there. All right, and so now I usually start right here where I stopped sewing. I start there and edge stitch it. That way we're securing the collar completely to the neckline for the entire amount, and it'll lay a little nicer. And we won't have any like super thready fabrics. You know, you might have a fabric that is like one little thread sneaks out, right? But we are going to stitch down this facing to the body of the garment. You can press all this too, but I find that it's not, I almost sometimes think it's harder to press it, you know? So it just depends on what you got going on. This looks really good. Probably doesn't on camera. It's because the red is really not a happy thing. So I'm gonna go right up to where, because I can kind of see that little gentle pucker. Oh, I just broke the thread. This is a really lightweight thread, much lighter than I usually use. My machine's kind of calibrated for a little heavier weight. Let me rethread it real quick. Easier to thread though in some cases, because it's so fine. I'm using a size 14 needle. It's really rare for me. All right. So let's cut this little back stitch thread. Let's check everything over. Let's get this little back stitch thread. Not bad. So you can see you'll have a little bit of stitching that may fall on the collar, may fall below like it does right here. But this is the under collar, right? And you can get better and better at this, you know. The Brussels washer linen is going to be a little tricky. All right. So let's go and iron this and then also turn under this edge. Maybe I can even fake this to go all the way to the shoulder, at least out here, like this. Because normally I would like this to be right here. That would be better. It'll look better on the other side. Definitely going to do this before I do my side seams because it'll be a lot easier. Let's go press this actually. Get this center seam here, or it's not really the center seam, it's the collar seam there. Get rid of this wrinkle now. Actually, I want to leave this one here. Well, that's okay. We'll take that out right now. Let's press this a little bit. Yeah. No, it's not no, because this side is fine. It was the fact that I didn't stay stitch the neckline, which I should have done. Definitely my fault. Because we did change the facing to reflect the new shoulder seam. Otherwise, the facing would actually be too long. It wouldn't be too short. It would be too long because it was further back. All right, let's do this from the right side. Kind of shaping the linen, you know, training it a little bit. It's gonna be cute. Very cute. Train this one a little bit more. I have this little like tuck right here. I'm not sure what that is. I'll fix that later. All right, so now I still think I should have, well, my first idea was to Hong Kong finish this, but then I remembered you top stitch this all down. So we need to do a center front seam first and then we can top stitch this down. But it would be a lot easier to top stitch down, but it would be kind of bulky. It would be actually real bulky. If you were doing a really lightweight fabric, maybe. Because then you can just finish this edge and then just top stitch it down. You don't have to do this sort of ironing under thing, which I feel like has its own set of little fussiness when you have to turn under the edge. I'm going to try and get it to go all the way to the shoulder though, like that. And I think I'll stitch this down, not to the garment, but to itself. Okay. Bye, Leanne. Leanne, how's it going? Or see you later. Let's say how's it going. Have a nice weekend, you too. I forgot, I got to get cash for that fabric sale tomorrow. How much cash should I bring to that? Do you think that the fabric's going to be like 50 cents a thing, which would be kind of crazy? You know, like if I bring $100, am I only going to spend 20 and then I'll have taken out $100? Oh, how did it, but that sounds nice, Rachel. That sounds really nice. I would like to do that on this. But with the inner, like maybe I wouldn't have interfaced the facing. I mean, quilting cotton, yeah, I see your point. Quilting cotton is a little lighter weight, especially depending on what brand it is. You know, like if it was Art Gallery quilting cotton, theirs is more like a lawn. And as opposed to like the shirt I'm wearing is a full-on quilting cotton, but I didn't care. I wanted it. There we go. That, see how that looks? That would have been nice for the other side to look like that. I'll fix this though. This is just getting pushed out, but see how that lines up? Oof, that would have been nice. Let me get a few pins. Bring $100. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for helping me decide, Rachel. Look at me pinning my old school way of pinning. Ouch. That's why you don't do that. Here we go. All right, we need to do the center front seam. This is the only thing I'm dreading on this whole shirt. Okay. So, it's looking cute. All right, so we're gonna do this center front seam. Oh, stop that. I'm gonna do the facing. That's a good point. I like that. Plus, I'm sure it's a fundraiser for them, so go wild, right? Maybe I should make a little list too so I don't get overwhelmed. What are the things I'm looking for? I am looking for potentially a DVF contender, right? All right, so we're gonna sew the facing seam up to where we already sewed it, and I'm being really careful. Like I lined them up perfectly. If you're not sure you got that point there on the same place on either side, I would double check that. All right, there we go. All right, and then now we're going to do the lower one. But this is the one where I was wondering if you guys did a French seam. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. Can I do a French seam here? Maybe I should have done that first. Boy, I should have probably done that first. What should I do? Should I try the French seam? I'm gonna try it. I don't feel confident. Maybe I'll just take this facing out and do it. I feel like I nailed the facing. I'll never get it the same again. If anyone can, I can. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not a fine sewer. I'm pretty good. But, you know, I compromise. This instruction, I am doing what the instructions say, but they don't say how to finish the seam. So there's that. I'm not doing this differently, just I only sewed everything else differently. But you have to sew each of these individually. I just want a French seam here. So let's see here. Okay, let's make sure we do it correctly. We're going to do this wrong sides together first. Hey Elena, how's it going? Oh, Shim is very good. He likes to poke the bear. You are being so positive, Rachel. And Shim's like, I don't know, Saremy. What do the instructions say? You guys are like the two little angels on my shoulders. Both have really good points, and I could go either way. You just finished the most, oh, well, congratulations for finishing it. Good job, Elena. Good job. That's awesome. I'm so glad you're past it. I'm concentrating. Okay, so I am up here at the top. I'm just pulling my facing out of the way, making sure. And I just feel like there's so much opportunity for this to not get lined up perfectly. All right, so now let's trim this down. Oof. You got this, Elena. I totally believe in you. If anyone really can do that, you can. You would not have taken that on if you couldn't. Okay, let me press this. All right. We'll do it sideways here, like this. Being really gentle with this little area up here. Man, I have that song is like embedded in my brain right now. And I wish I knew more of the words so I wasn't making up the words in my head so I could get past the chorus. I know just enough to do it wrong. Okay, so let's sew that. The color is very rich. I think it looks so much better in person. It's so, it leans towards the orange side of the red on the camera. What do they say that it's reds and purples are some of the hardest to get on camera? I don't know. I've had some fabrics that looked so good on camera that it made me want to buy like a ton of it to do tutorials with and stuff. And then I'm like, that's kind of crazy. I don't want this to be my signature fabric. It wasn't even a fabric print that I was like, you know, this is so me. One of them was actually pink. Like the fabric I used to make the pink and gray laundry basket, I love the way that looked on camera. It just was a good combo. All right, let me sort this out here. All right, so we have our facing. Pull that out of the way. Meanwhile, it's just dumping rain out there. All right, and then go up here. Let me see, what am I looking at here? Okay, pull that all the way. You know, I feel like I did not sew the facing. You know what? You know what? My facing is a little smaller because of the seam allowance I added. So I didn't add That is why it was a little fussy. I just thought it was my not doing a stay stitch. Yeah. I didn't add the 1/4 inch right here. Okay, good. I like knowing what happened there. Because now I'm getting to the top, I'm like, oh, we did not sew this at a 5/8 inch seam when we put this on here. So, potential problems. You know, like this right here, this seam. Let's just take all this out. I thought of it, but I didn't. Right here. So see, that's not lining up. Hi, Eliza. How's it going? I thought, Julie, you were talking about the shoulders, like for the front, for the shoulder moving. That's what I thought you were talking about, which I did change. Wait, that's not what I want to do. I think I want to do this. Oof, I had this going and now I'm like, oh no, it's all falling apart. Let's just see if I can, let's just see how it's looking. Let's see how it's looking. Okay. All right. So here's my, yeah, you said it was for the shoulder, I'm pretty sure. Okay, yeah, so this seam here needs to increase a tiny bit. So I'm just gonna, I'm gonna try and taper it to match just down there. Just like from 0 at the top to a little bit bigger at the bottom here. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay. Wait, which one did I just do? This one, okay. Yeah, that took me a little. I was like thinking about it during the changes, and I did miss this one. Because I was thinking, well, we're not doing French seams at the shoulder. I don't have to worry about that. But I forgot about the center front seam. So, okay, let's try and be methodical here. It's not perfect, but let's just hope we don't have to take it out. Okay, so now we can do the seam on the facing. Oof. Which should be at 5/8, not 3/8, right? It's not quite. Okay, we're just gonna get started and try. Like that. Yeah, the thumb back stick, exactly. All right. It looks a little off there. So let's see how we're doing. Let's check it before we panic. I like the thumb back stitch. That's why I'm kind of irritated that I'm starting to not use it because of my home machine. Last thing I want is like, yeah, like pulling right here. So let's see, but it's not, this right here could be, it's not great. Let's go iron it. You say the things I want to hear, Rachel. get my awl. There's a lot coming together right there. That would have, I was really dreading it anyway already, and it would have been better if I hadn't made this seam allowance mistake, because it started off really good. I think that I could pull off the French seaming without it being too terrible to do, you know, there. The problem is it's looking better on the inside, I think, than the outside. So let's see if we can get this seam pressed open here. Facing seam right there. All right, let's look at the outside where it really counts. It's not too bad. Okay. What I see right here is this right here, and I'm wondering what that is. Is this a thread? Oh, maybe that's what it is. Okay. Okay. We pull this like that. Can we get that to be nice and smooth? No, this part right here looks funky. Right here, where this thread is. Where are you from? So let's look inside where that little, see, this is the, well, you probably can't see. I'll show you at the machine. Oh, there's the thread. Oh, no, that's not the thread. I always try and pull these threads to the back side, because maybe I can kind of see where it's from. Well, I've kind of, with the French seam, Julie, and the fact that I forgot the seam allowance, otherwise, it is a little tricky right there because it's a pullover, but yeah. Yeah, so here, I have a back stitch right here. This is the main one. It's the same exact thing. This is what my home machine has. My home machine does not have this. I'm addicted to this. That's what I'm talking about there. I love the little quick, you know, thumb. Sorry, I'm probably making all, it's so zoomed in, it's really hard to get it right. Yeah, so, all right, so yeah. Let's see where this thread right here is coming from. And if we can, is it just all this back stitch stuff? Yeah, that was it. Okay, good. That helps. I'm thinking the hammer needs to come into play. It looks better on the inside, so let's look at it from the outside. I'm just seeing right here, this right here is kind of visible from the right side. I might just let it go. All right, so now we do have our French seam in there. It is kind of bulky. Hammer time. Yep, exactly. All right, so let's pin our facing down. And then all we have is the side seams and sleeves after this. I think I might put side vents on this. There we go. That looks okay, I guess. All right, let's get this nice and flat. Layer by layer, get it nice and flat. Yeah, I mean, my Bernina has it right there. It's just so slow. Like, I love how this one reacts. Okay. So there's a few things going on here. This is what I'll describe if you encounter sewing these is tricky. The top layer of my fabric, see, it's kind of loose, right? It's not that it's loose, it's that the facing is not. It's super stable. So it gives the impression that your top is like stretched out when it's not. Ooh, my facing is like, that's why the pocket's so far over, is the facing. I forgot about that. Rip. All right, let's get this center seam right on the center seam of the facing there. And some pins. And I'm gonna do a little pinning from the right side, just so I can make sure it looks good and nice and flat, you know, and I'm not stretching anything, because you can kind of see it's a little loose right there. And you can kind of see that in the photos of this shirt too. I think that's one of the dangers, is that you've got so much construction happening here. Those seams can either get stretched out or drawn up. It just depends, you know. Okay. That one's still pinned and that's kind of holding good. All right, so I'm just gonna put a few pins in here. You gotta remember too that your shirt is the undercollar for the lapel. So there's that to kind of contend with. So I don't want this edge to poke out, so I'm gonna pull it a little bit and make it more of like an undercollar. All right. So let's flip this over and just pin down the facing, and we'll top stitch it. I'm going for symmetry. That's my goal right now. This is feeling good though. Like honestly, this facing is really settling in on here really nicely. Look at it, it looks nice and flat. You know what, Shim? It can't because of the the lapel right here. Actually, I'm going to pay attention to this. Wait, this is the top collar, so yeah, I actually want that to do that. Yeah, you can't do that because of the lapel. The lapel sticks out further, see, than the center line. It'd be nice though, wouldn't it? But yeah, I feel like that was one thing I tried to do once with something a long time ago. Like I probably was in my 20s still. Because I was like, you know, kind of in that stubborn sewing stage where I knew a lot, but I did not know enough. So I thought, well, no one's just figured it out. I'm going to figure it out because I'm clever and smarter than every other sewist before me. No, but you know what I mean. You know how we do that? Like once we start learning a lot, we get a little bit like kind of cocky. And yeah, no, I mean, for the pure basic fact that math, look. So yeah, I can't go on the fold. I was logical then. I am far more logical now. Yeah. Yeah, because it's a notched collar. So let me show you the center front pattern piece, because that probably will make it click for you. Oh, it's right here. So here's the center front right here. And if I were to draw a straight line up, Oh, sorry, it's super bright. That's how much it's sticking out from the center, because it has a lapel built into the garment for like a notched collar. So then, you know, when it folds back, there's the lapel. Yeah, so yeah, I knew once you saw that, you'd be like, oh yeah, okay. And if you did trim it off and make it on the fold, which you could do, but what would happen is you would have like a mini turn back, right? And right here at the center front, you would have to sew that like a slit placket, which is fine, you know, it's just different. All right, so let's sew the facing here. Oh, actually what I want to do is I'm going to sew this seam down. I kind of have to cheat on this side because of what happened with it. So I'm just going to secure it so that it stays folded down, since it won't get secured to anything later on. All right, let me get rid of these threads. All right, so we'll start over here. Make sure your bobbin thread looks nice. Since this shows on the right side, we'll tuck in. So if I did this again, hopefully I'll remember to write myself a note. I would probably extend my shoulder here past so that I could stitch in the ditch and catch it there. I can just hand sew it if I want, but it'll be fine just like this. I'm not sure about this thread. Like, why is there a big loop of thread right here? And it's like spinning on top of itself. It does, Justine. You don't have to, but you know, it'll behave better. You could instead, sorry, I'm having a thread issue. You see this right here? The twist is too tight on the thread. Oh, so it's creating a issue right now. I really wish the camera looked nicer because it looks so good in person. So you could knot, I guess. And then what I would do is secure the facing to the seam allowance of the center front if you wanted to get away from doing that. Yeah, the thread spool's making a noise. All right, so I moved my pocket an inch towards center front. If you do that, remember that you potentially might sew through it with your facing like I'm about to. I'm gonna let it slide since I got, I think, right next to it, but don't forget that. Well, yeah, I'm sorry it's coming off as fiddly. That center front juncture is going to be hard no matter what, but I made it harder because I didn't remember to put a 5/8 inch seam allowance on the facing, and everything else did, and then I wanted to French seam it. So beautiful, beautiful. So let's see. And it's Brussels washer linen, right? Linen is kind of soft and relaxed. Looks cute though. Look at that. Let me zoom out. We can zoom out now. It's like a lag lately when I do things. That looks cute. Very nice, very nice. That looks good. I'm happy with that. All right, so I'm going to do a vent for the side seam for fun. So I'm going to do a French seam vent. This is a video I just did recently. So we're going to start with our side seam. I have 5/8 inch seam allowance, so I'm going to do a 1/4 inch. Let's see, how big do we want this vent? Why is this longer? Maybe I should, is the other one longer too? Is it just the way I cut it? Or is it my pattern? I'll have to check that. If anything, I thought it would be shorter. Okay, so we're gonna let it stay shorter, so because it's the same on both sides, that little bit, and I'll just tree that up. Yeah, I know, right, Shim? Actually, that makes me so happy, because when I realized that, I was like, oh, you guys are legit. I'm so happy you guys are into this, because when I saw that I had to do that, I was like, no, I don't want to do that live on camera. And then, of course, I made it more complicated. All right, so we need to decide where I want my vent to end. So let's choose, so let's see if my hem is like 3/4 of an inch, which would be right here. Let's do a 4-inch vent right there. That's the one thing you need to know. So we're sewing this wrong sides together at your first French seam amount. Mine's going to be 1/4 inch, or like 6 millimeters. And now I'm going to curve around to the full seam line. So for me, it's 5/8. And I call this a gentle J. See it right there? Yeah, I'm not surprised. See, there's my J right there. All right, and so now I'm going to clip to this at an angle, kind of like parallel. And I call those the wings. All right. The next key thing you need to trim this one down so the seam allowance is narrow right there. So that little angle that we created, we trim that way down. Like, definitely be more aggressive right here than anywhere else. We'll trim more up at the top too, but let's do the other side so we can iron at the same time. I'm trying to reach underneath and grab the bottom layer to sort of line up the dart better and get that edge there. Okay, and then let's mark the 4 inches. So basically 4 3/4 of an inch up from my edge there. So right here. Gentle J to the full seam line. Clip to the bottom of the J. Trim the clipped part right there. And then we'll go all the way up, trimming it since mine is so thready. And I'll even do it a little narrower here where the dart is since it's thick, and then go back out. Okay. Let's trim the other side. All right, let's go iron it. Actually, I do need this. And this little J is kind of the hardest little, it's like a little bubble that you're pressing, so I pull it pretty hard right there and then press all this up here. I need the salami because I did both side seams. Let's do this one now. Pull it apart at the J down there to kind of get it flat. Doesn't matter which way you press this, just press it really good. Now turn it inside out. I'm like, wait. Here we go. All right, and then press again. Flip these wings to the inside here. This is a lot of shirt right now. Okay. So I have a little blump here, so we're going to sort that out a little bit. Get this right on that seam there. Straighten out your vent here, and you'll see a little bit of a curve there. There should be. Okay, just like that. And then we'll do the other side. I'll still probably hammer that neckline. There's the curve. Don't forget there's a curve there, because you want to encourage it so you don't get a little blump. All right, get those wings out of there. Press again. Okay, now what we're going to do is open this up, and we're going to press our vent open, lining up with the seam. Like this. Just trying to get it nice and symmetrical and straight and not pull anything. Should just meet right there at the seam here. That. All right, and then I'm going to slip my mat under here and true up this uneven hem right here. Let me get my rotary knife. So when I do this hem, I'm going to try and do it all in one stitch, a continuous stitch going all the way around and then up and over the vent. It's just something I love to do. I like the challenge of it. Okay, and then just blend it in there like that. All right, now let's do the other. Well, we can keep pressing this side actually. So now we're going to press the wing down into the vent. You can do it at an angle so it looks like a little house here. And to be able to do that, I have to trim sometimes my wing because it's just too long and pointy. So if we look at it from this side, if I wanted an angle like this, I'd have to trim this point, right? Because it's going past my fold line, right? Don't let it bunch up in there. So there we go. We have that point turned down. And let's do the other side here. Let's be purposeful and make them symmetrical. There we go, get rid of that. All right, so now we have our little house there at the top. And now we'll turn under this edge. Ooh, I love this kind of stuff. You know what? I think I love this kind of stuff when it's a fabric that just does what you want it to do. Certainly this fabric doesn't do what I want to do all the time, but for something like this, it wants to be pressed into a fold. I'm about to lose my cutting mat there. Okay. So now we have this, and we still need to sew our seam here. I'm kind of doing a lot of steps at once just to utilize being here at the ironing board. Okay, and so now on this side, we're going to do all those things again. So we've already pressed that seam. We're going to press our vent opening open. Do this side here. You can sew that seam first if this is too fiddly. This one I do feel like I'm not pulling it right at the right spot there. Go. All right, so now again, turn down so we get the house. I often don't trim that off, and it is a little sloppy. Did not trim it off. I didn't in the video. As long as you're not trimming right here at the top, right there at the bottom of the seam or the top of your vent there, just trim off a little chunk of it. It'll be a lot easier to deal with. All right, now we're gonna turn it under. And I'm gonna show you all this in the closer camera and when I finish this pressing here. Go over it a little bit again. Let's get rid of some of these threads or fibers. Even if you don't get this perfectly folded symmetrical, you can sew it symmetrically from the right side and it won't be as obvious. All right, so let's just trim this little hem difference here. This is probably just either a cutting error or something I didn't true really well on the pattern. So I'll just have to make a note. If I wasn't on camera, I take this and I will pin it to something that I know I'll have to look at later, like the pattern pieces. And then I'll go, oh yeah, that's right, you know, this thing I need to check this out and double check it, you know. All right, so let me show you what I did here. All right, so we went over there, we pressed the rest of the seam, the right sides together, and now we can sew it from armhole to the base of the J, right in the top of our vent there. Okay, so let me sew that. Enclosing the trimmed seam. So it'll look like a curved seam. See, sticking out like that, like kind of a curve. And the reason why I say you really want to trim it is that, and I bet I have some. Yeah, look, I do. I still got some of the fiber sticking out. Because even I was a little nervous about being aggressive about the trimming there, but you really need to be aggressive about the trimming right there at the bottom of that J. So let me just take this out real quick and retrim it. It's one of those things where as you're sewing it, you're like, oh yeah, I know what it's about to happen here. I still backstitched, you know. Hope springs eternal. My seam allowance that I'm using total for the French seam is 5/8. So let's trim this actually better. Let's trim this down. Oh yeah, you can even see I didn't quite get that trimmed nicely. So on this last pass, Julie, I'm doing 3/8 of an inch seam, but I'm going straight down because remember when we first started it and we did the first pass, we did 1/4 of an inch, but then we curved over to the full width of the seam. So now we're just ending at the same point of that first seam. Like that. Get rid of all my threads. Messy French seam. I sometimes forget this is going to sit in a store and people will scrutinize it. And now I'm just like, oh shoot. Oh wow. All right, so Oh, sorry, I thought Julie asked that. Justine did. Oh, it's within the extra seam allowance on the armpit as an afterthought after checking the lengths. But I added extra seam allowance on both the front and the back. I do remember doing both. So that shouldn't be the issue. All right, and so then I pressed my vent open like this over there, right? I turned down the corner, and so I wanted a little angle here, like a little house, right? So when I turned down the corner, whatever was sticking out past, I just trimmed off. If it's going past this fold line, I know then it'll just scrunch up in there. So that's what I did there. I could have done this a little neater too, like pull this down a little more. And then you won't get those little frayed edges there. Let's get rid of this thread here. All right. All right, so now we can kind of hem this. And I think I'll start right here. Let's see, I'm going to start at this vent. I gave myself a 3/4 inch seam allowance, right? So let's do this. I'm going to start here at this corner, and we're going to go all the way around. Oh, I still got threads or fibers sticking out. Man, this thing is thready, this fabric. Especially when you get onto the cross grain or the length grain. I hope I don't run out of bobbin. It always happens. When you're towards the end and you're like, I'm gonna do a nice continuous hem all the way around. No back stitches or interruptions. Oh, this thread, man, it's like just twisting. And then you run out of bobbin because it's the end of the project, you know. The hem, I know it's what you're talking about, but I didn't, oh, you mean, well, are you talking about the around the armhole? I added that seam allowance on both the front and the back, so that wouldn't have changed it. It's probably either a cutting error or just a truing error. You know, like, we did a lot. I knew you were talking about the hem difference. Oh, I'm gonna stop folding that now. Let's just get over here. We can check the pattern piece and see. It just sounds like I'm running out of bobbin. All right, so now I'm here at this side. So I usually turn in a corner like this, and I turn this like this is folded up to the hem line. So if I have a 3/4 inch hem, I fold this up to the hem line as a little corner. See that? And now I'm going to fold this edge up to that as well, and then fold it along that edge. And then we'll continue sewing here. That's just so I don't have like little fibers, like little corners sticking out. And we're gonna go onto the vent hem here. Wait, did I do the, oh no. I didn't do this side seam yet, but that's okay. I only did one. We'll go up on the vent here. And then on the roof of the house, I'm trying to hold my vent closed so that I don't stretch it out or anything. And then down the other side of the house, we're like a little squirrel. So here's how I'm doing these corners. And I want to match this one here. So let's get this folded. I'm straightening out my whole vent so it's lining up at the same spot, right? Such a weird angle. All right, and so now I'm going to fold this one up at the same spot to it there. fold it here, and then fold it here so that they match. Unless your hems are different, front and back. And now we'll go onto there. I'm not trying to miter the corner, it's just a nice side effect of doing, keeping those raw edges in there. I'll show you what I'm on the other one. I'll show you if I didn't do that, what happens if I didn't fold that little corner. All right, it's my front, and I pressed my front seam this direction. We don't even have the sleeves on yet. Oh, it's only one. Wow. All right, so if I didn't fold this up like this first with a little corner, and I just went like this, 3/8, 3/8. What happens is this little fold right here inside, this one right here, it has these little threads that fall off of it like this, right? We've all seen that. That's what I'm preventing by turning in the corner. So now I've put the corner inside there. All right, so let's make sure we're turning it at the same spot here. Actually, let's get closer. Since I'm not pinning it, I have to kind of wait till get closer. All right, and now I can arrange it. Make sure they're the same length. Fold it in like that. It so sounds like I'm running out of bobbin. That I did run out of bobbin. I didn't turn that corner very good because I was distracted by that. And then we're up at our house again. Up the side of the house. I put it all so that it's in the position. I didn't turn this house very tightly up here at the top. Let's turn it a little tighter. This side has a little too slack. Okay, we're gonna go up to the roof, pivot at the seam, and then down the other side of the roof. I sometimes sew these from the right side and then do the hem afterward. When I, like, especially if I'm doing this for someone else. All right, and here's our only back stitch in that whole hem. And let's do that side seam and then we'll look at our hem. We forgot to do over here. But let's make sure it's trimmed really well. We can trim that more. Really trim it down at the base of the J. And then straight down. All right, let's check it out. So now we have our French seam with a vent. Oh, what did I do here? This is that weird corner. I need to fix that. That's hilarious. But we'll look at this good one over here. I knew I did something there, but this one I did too big of a seam when I had to do the seam afterward. But you can kind of see, here's your little vent, right? So the two things I'm going to do, I'm going to fix this. I got a little nervous and I got a little bigger at the bottom. What you really need to go to where you stopped, like just next to it, and then you won't have this happen. I can feel where the cut threads are. There we go. There we go. Ugh, I still have a little pucker, but we'll fix that later. And then let me fix this one right here. Now I'm gonna run out of bobbin. Let's just check it. Oh, I have such a full bobbin. Sometimes when I'm sewing a French seam, I get really nervous that I'm gonna run out of bobbin because you're kind of double sewing the garment, right? You're sewing it kind of twice because you're French seaming it, right? And you run out of thread faster. But we really only French seamed the side seams, right? And the center front. So we haven't sewn that much. All right, let's take this out right here. So much for my back stitch free. I'm surprised I let this fly here. You guys are so quiet. All right, so we want to go here. Let's take out a few more. Be nice to ourselves here. Get rid of these threads out of the way so we don't sew them. There we go. Fold up to that and like that. Yeah, that's what it is. Bigger hem allowance. See, we have the torquing. We need to go way back here to get rid of that. I was going to pin it for myself. And now we'll take this out. Where did I do that? Right here? Yeah. And we'll correct this torque right here. Why is my stitch length so small? Holy. Do you ever see some of those like things made and sold in stores? And I'm talking like a duffel bag, you know? And do you ever look at the stitch length they used? It's literally 4 stitches per inch. They're like 1/4 inch long stitches. Do you know how fast that must be to sew? If your machine was set up at 4 stitches per inch, it's almost like a squirrel getting away from you. It's so fast. Because it's covering ground so much faster. But this was just too small. All right, so let's smooth this out a little bit. I need to kind of smooth out this wrinkle, or this crease, I mean, I should say. Okay. A little wide up here. Yeah, it's like really heavy thread, like probably thread you've never will sew with in your life, you know. You re-sewed it. That's funny, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're also using a thread that's nylon thread. I have, in one of the factories I worked at, that's all they used was nylon thread. And you're just, ugh, it's awful. It won't even stay on the cone sometimes, you know, like the stuff they had did. But like if you were to buy a cone of nylon thread, because I have one over there, and I got the one that's waterproof, like it's helps waterproof a seam. They're not using that in the factory I worked at because they seam sealed, but it just jumps off of the bobbin. You have to like hold it because it just starts going and just kind of springs off, you know. And that's what they're using. They're using like really heavy nylon thread. It's synthetic. It's kind of its own beast, you know. All right, so here we go. We have a sleeveless Donny right now. It's looking really cute with our hem and everything. And now we just need sleeves. So let's do those. Very exciting. Didn't I want shorter sleeves? I think I wanted a lot shorter sleeves. Yeah, the maxi lock stretch, yeah. Yeah, like same with the woolly nylon type of stuff. What do they call that? Is that it? Is it something? I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, that stuff. So I put you know how like your serger or your machine will come with those weird net things? I sat there one day and just like scrounged as many of those as I could. I've never used them before. All right, so make sure I have a left and a right. Where's that? This is the back. That's the front. That's the back. Okay, just making sure. I thought I was going to kind of get into using the puff thread, or what do you guys, it's woolly nylon or whatever you guys call it. We always called it puff thread. I don't like it. It's softer though, so I think it's worth figuring out and calibrating your machine and seeing what your machine likes if you want a really soft finish on the inside. It really does make a big difference. It is a lot softer. It's like on underwear or athletic wear, kids stuff, just anything that, you know, might be scratchy. All right, so did my underarm seam wrong sides together. No, right sides together. I'm kind of curious how much bigger my Donny is going to feel. In this Brussels washer linen, adding that 2 inches might have been a little too much, you know? Sometimes you get kind of fixated on how to fit the fabric you're using as muslin. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, the cover stitch looper. I agree. It's a lot softer. Yeah, I only bought, I think, 2 cones of 3 colors. I did like a black, a cream, and a gray. All right, so let's put this right side out. This is the back sleeve. Well, actually, let's do it wrong side out. And we'll keep the shirt right side out. This is the back. So it goes here. I still got that wrong. Here we go. All right, so we have our sleeve. Wrong sides together. I'm gonna press my sleeve seam towards the front and my side seam toward the back, just to offset the thickness. Oh, let's use our shearing foot, because we can. I'm gonna put an easing stitch along the top, and I'm gonna cheat by using this shearing foot. It looks like this. It's got this crazy thick flat bottom, but this little shelf is going to help draw it all up. Yeah, I think the weight of the linen, it's gonna make it nice and swingy. And I can always take off that 2 inches. That was the last thing I did. So it's the easiest thing to undo too. Or maybe in different fabrics, I take it off, you know? All right, so I'm gonna add this. This foot makes me so nervous. Ooh, come on. Fabric's a little thicker. I really did not do the seam allowance very well on that. It wanted to pull off the edge. Terry has her fancy turret now, so she's not doing all this screwdriver business. She's above us. We're just mere plebs with a screwdriver. Okay, let's see if that was enough. It doesn't feel like it will be, but we'll try. So this is the front. Still got the wrong sleeve, this one here. Okay, so let's stick it in the armhole here. So again, let's make sure we have the back on the back, sleeve seam towards the front, side seam towards the back. And let's check how much extra we have here. Quite a bit. I'm not sure this cap is in the right place, the cap notch. I didn't move the cap notch. So we might have to just eyeball it. Dang, I really need to okay. Brussels washer linen wasn't the greatest for the shearing foot. You know, pleb. We are mere mortals in Terry's world. She's like the Roman goddess of press her feet for an industrial. Yeah, exactly right. Rachel's a good way to do. Good way to put it. Brussels is gonna do what it wants to do, but it's such a nice fabric. Okay. I've stood in front of the wall of Brussels washer linen at Hearts and I literally couldn't pick out a color. There's so many good colors. They really did a good job of picking colors for this fabric. And Hearts has a lot of them. And been like, I don't even know which one to get. Okay, so I think my notch should be toward the back, like back here. I think doing a live stream on a Friday is really gonna throw off my my calendar in my head. I'm gonna think tomorrow is Sunday. Okay. Let's do our other one. So we can do the iron at the same time. We know that this won't be enough, so let's add another row. I got the seam allowance better on this shearing stitch. I wonder if it would have done a better job if I had done a longer length stitch. That's an interesting idea. Exactly, Terry. And you should. What are you working on these days, Terry? Are you still working on your pants for your son? Because you were hand sewing last I heard on those, right? I have, Kathleen. I've really been enjoying it. I can't believe I didn't do that sooner. I just didn't have, I don't know. I guess I just don't know home machines very well to know that there would be a good one for me. And people had asked me about the Juki TLs, and I was like, oh, those sound cool. You know, I'm not an expert on machines, you know. And I love it. I'm getting all these things done that were in my personal pile. Like I had that green plaid shirt I wore the other day that I made on camera, but I just it didn't really turn out exactly how I wanted. Like it was cute. I liked it, but I knew it could be better. And I finally just had time to chip away at playing with that because it's just sitting there at a table at home and I could work on it. And I loved the way it came out. Or I have a quilt that I was given that when my grandmother passed away, I got this random box of stuff from that side of my family. And, you know, I think they were like, oh, Emmy sews. Let's just give her these things. Or I don't know what they were thinking, honestly, because I don't really tell you much. But why am I pinning this? You know, I've been quilting that because that machine's perfect for like a casual quilter like me. What else have I been doing? Well, I've been working on the quickie case pattern. So I photographed all the sewing steps at home on my home machine. I've been working on these belts for this butterfly blouse that I've had for ages. I've had it for so long on my dress form, I was forgetting it was a garment I needed to finish. It was just being like this accessory in my studio to keep Trixie modest. So I finally made a bunch of belts for it, with help from all the Gildies giving me some ideas on what to do. And now I just need to add buttons and buttonholes because I'm going to make it like a belt that you can swap out. So I've been fiddling with my buttonhole attachment, and I don't think I have the right thread for it because I keep running into a thread vomit issue with it. And I just don't think I have the right thread for it. So I came here and got some more thread on a Sunday, and I just haven't been able to play with it yet. So I really am. I'm loving it. I'm doing a test sew for Sew Liberated, and I was having the internal battle, oh, should I sew that here or on my home machine? You know, it's getting hard to decide sometimes because that's not something it's a test sew, so I can't really show you guys. I can't do it as a live stream. So I even got to pick a black fabric out. I never pick black fabric out because I can't sew that on camera. And I'm kind of excited. I'm like, oh, I get to pick a black fabric. It's not about how it looks to them. It's just how it goes together. But that's a knit, so I have to sew that here. I do have a spare serger that I'm supposed to be selling, but I might just keep it for home now. Only the hem left. Need to put the hem tape in. Oh, nice. Oh, that's awesome. Did you get a color when you bought all that linen, when we bought all that linen? Because mine's still staring at me over there. Did you get a color or did you get a natural, like undyed white like I did? And would you use it as like a white tablecloth? I really want to dye that. And I bought dye at Hearts. So I just need to figure out what I'm going to do with it. Because I had wanted to do 2 twin bedspreads. I still want to. The 2 rows of serging or easing stitches are really throwing me off. Like visually, I'm like not used to seeing 2 rows there. Okay. Oh wow, a white tablecloth. You are brave. There's no way that I personally could do that. Like I am I don't know what is up with me. I'm just messy. I'm messy. You know, I really hate it when I have to go to like a nice dinner. Like say, I don't know, make something up. Like say I'm going, like Michael has a dinner with work, the boss, so we're, you know, or visiting someone and we have to go to dinner. I hate it because I don't know why I do this, you guys, but I am a napkin crumpler. So my napkin is like, it is a piece of history. Like it is dead to the world within 5 minutes of me touching it. Because I will crumple it so bad and I'll use it and stuff. And his is a neatly folded little thing that he looks like he never even used. I don't know what is happening. I'm not like gross as an eater, you know, like I'm not like food flying everywhere. I don't know what's happening. I don't know when I do it, but my napkin is just so ugly. And then you like at the end when they're taking your plate and everyone's setting their napkin, like whatever. Obviously, if it's a fancy place, it's not going to be a paper napkin, but I can crumple a polyester napkin, no problem. Just give it to me. Oh, okay. I like that attitude. It looks so nice. I put one of Maggie's really well-used tablecloths on my table, and it had been all hand cross-stitched, you know, and there's stains, and I kind of find the stains charming. They look like tea and coffee, you know, which would make sense for her. No way, Elena, really? You mean these are my fellow crumpler people? Dang, see, I feel like I'm the only one who crumples usually. It's just, sometimes I'll try and think about it. No, it doesn't last. I need 12 napkins. Michael uses a half of a napkin. Burgers, forget it. Forget it. I need 12 napkins. I need an etiquette coach. I never did look at how close my facing came to the pocket. I just noticed a thread here. I'm going to get it. Remind me to look at that. I want to see how close I came. Yeah. One of the first places I worked at was a children's bedding company. And they manufactured all the bedding here. Like it was done on site at a factory that I worked at. And they did like crib quilts. And back then there were bumpers. Remember the crib bumpers? Crib skirts. They did all this like bedding for cribs and babies and layette sets and stuff like that, which probably people don't even know what those are now. And one of the sets they did, Kathleen, was a Battenberg lace set. They would buy Battenberg lace in packages as tablecloth, like tablecloth Battenberg napkins and tablecloths. And then they would use those to create the crib quilts. It was kind of nuts how they did it. It was so bespoke. That's the nice way of putting it. But it's not like Battenberg lace comes by the yard, right? It's a technique done to fabric, right? And so they would take the linens and make it into... And a crib quilt's a perfect size to be able to do that. And they would lay the napkins on there and sew them. And they were really beautiful. It wasn't my style, but kind of the same idea. I think this is my last two seams, right? Okay, so the two things, three things, maybe four things. Four things I need to remember to do to my pattern. I need to add a seam allowance to the front edge of the facing. I might make the shoulder seams longer just to make them easier to sew because I can always trim them down. That's just an optional preference thing. I need to... I need to check the pocket placement in conjunction with the facing stitching. There was something else that I needed to check. What is it? Was that it? Was that it? Maybe I'm just thinking it's more because those things affected other things. Huh. This, I never do that, but this is seam allowance is too wide where this stitch is. I hope it comes out nice. Oh, the hem, right? Yes, exactly, Christina. Hey, Travis, how's it going? I started to sew at 9 when Grandma sat me in front of her electric machine. Later that summer, I sewed Barbie tube dress. Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if my grandma sewed. I didn't know she had knit until years and years after she died, and my mom was like, do you want all of grandma's knitting stuff? I was like, what grandma's knitting stuff? Okay, so I did this on this seam, it keeps throwing me off that it's the right side, and it's freaking me out. Okay, where's that? Here it is, right here. I'm gonna try and pull this out because some of it's, ooh, that was, I hope Ray saw that. That was so satisfying. we love it when we can pull that out. Okay. That looks good. And I got the French seam in there. Whoops, there it is. Nice. Okay, what's the other side look like? Do I need to take out? Can I take this one out too? Yeah, look, there it is. Mm-hmm. Oh, really, Elena? I got asked a lot Like when people would learn what I did and stuff, if Cricket was standing there, it kind of felt bad for her. People would be like, oh, then you must know how to sew too. And I said, well, if she wants to learn, I'll teach her. And I did teach her a lot of things. Like she would sew at my industrial when she was 8, 9 years old. But I would just let her sew. I wouldn't like, I wasn't doing any formal instruction. And then when she was in 4-H, they had a sewing project. And she took that sewing project and twice and learned to sew from that gal. So that was perfect. And I did a knitting group. She was my junior leader, and she taught all the little kids how to knit. So it worked out. Like I wasn't going to be that person forcing her to do that. So here, see the facing is really close to the pocket. I moved it over. So I think that it being kind of over here in the armpit, people have been complaining about maybe why. Maybe that's just too far over. Now when my mom shows her stuff, she takes responsibility. Your grandma and your dad decided crochets and have the patience of a saint doing that. That's awesome. You got to, right? You got to have patience. Yeah, the pocket I was going to check for sure. This pocket's weird. It's so narrow and long. It's a really weird shape. Anywho, let's try it on the dress form. Or maybe I should try it on me. I want to know what sleeve length that I need. Let me try it on. Oh, it feels so good. Where do we want the sleeve length? It feels good. Very loose. How's it look? It looks still, look at how much it looks shorter in the front. Oh, there we go. That's better. That's better. Is it kind of low cut on people? Oh my gosh, there we go. Shorter sleeves. I think I'd make it smaller. I think I'd make it smaller. Maybe just the Brussels. Where would you put the sleeve? I think that's about where it would normally hem. I think the vent could be longer. It's big. So maybe I could take it back in. I like it. It's cute. Yeah, maybe a little shorter too, huh? What's this right here? Oh, it's my pocket facing, or pocket. Kind of distort the lapel. Yeah, it's a little big, huh? I mean, it looks like I got it to the intended fit, but I think I would go smaller. Sleeves an inch shorter. I can't get it to roll up back here. Eee. Yeah, I kind of get what you mean, Christina. It kind of goes with the vibe of the shirt. It's perfect with my jeans today because I have the cuffs with the Hong Kong finish. So normal sleeve hem length right there. I think I should leave it too. I'm not liking the drag lines. I want to lengthen the cap. So if I added to the cap height here, we could get rid of those drag lines. See, but it looks okay when I do this, when I'm holding my arm like that. As soon as I put it down, you see that? Just needs more length there. Did I make it too long? I'm on the fence. It's cute. I think you could have some fun rounding the points if you wanted it to have like a softer curve kind of aesthetic. You could leave off the collar and you'd have like a little revere. That'd be cute. It is pulling back a little bit. And I even pulled the shoulder really far forward. Oh, my hair's really, So when I get it on my shoulders seated, it's nice and level. It's pulling back probably because the shoulder angle isn't quite perfect. That's all. Because I don't think the neck is like too tall in the back. Because sometimes when the neck is like the back neck is too tall back here, right? If it's too far forward, what happens is then it's like pushing away. It'll push away because it can't sit any higher on you, right? It can't sit on your neck. It needs to sit on around the base of your neck. You ready to make another one? Cool. I think this would be really cute if I patched all my linen scraps together. What is that white thing? Oh, it's this. Is it a stress relief thing? What? I think Jan's back in time on something. See you, Elena. Congrats on the presentation. Good job. Remember I had the problem if it pulling. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Rachel. Are you, Sarah? It's comfortable. I kind of like the androgynous look of it, vibe of it. I like that about camp collars though, but it's not a camp collar. It's a notched. Notch kind of has that same vibe. Okay, so hear me out. I don't think any of you have done this. If you cut the facing and the top collar in a contrast, that'd be really cute. Like a little floral. Yep, here's the reveal. The sleeves aren't hemmed yet. I added vents. I think it's a little big. Like I could probably, I think it's the vibe of the original pattern. So I was trying to decide the sleeve length. What do you think, Aisha? Now you want a red one? Yeah, I think it'd be really fun to take the facing and the top collar in a contrast. That's the fun part about a collar like this with the lapel, because the right side of is the facing. Yeah, exactly, Sarah. I think that's what I like about this kind of style of boxy shirt. I think you could do things like, if you wanted something that looked more soft, you could curve the points here, even if you curved one or the other. And then you could also do like a Kelly shirt hem, like with the curve. You could do the high-low, no buttonholes. Do I have like a good floral I could cut this in? I'm looking over there. Not really. You could do a big bow, but I would not do a big bow. Yeah, I think that often for me, Rachel, that happens to me on a certain pattern brand. I have a rounded back a little bit, but my posture of my neck is very upright, so it'll push on the back neck of things. So, well, I just have it, I know, I think the cuff would be really cute on this. But I just have it folded there to see the hem length. But I agree, it is really cute. I don't have enough fabric to do cuffs. Yeah, you could totally do that, Rachel. Yeah. If you did the top collar and the facing in a contrast fabric, it would show. You know. You could leave the collar completely off and have a revere right there. I love reveres and they're really cool. And it would just look like, can I even show what that would look? No, I can't show what that would look like. Oh well. Donny of the Month Club. I pulled off the French seam, Aisha, but whew, touch and go. Knowing you did it made me confident, but I also forgot to add enough seam allowance on my facing for a French seam. Yeah, well that exactly, Sarah. That's most cuffs are double. Yeah, I mean there is side seams on this, but oh, you mean yeah, exactly. This is an underarm seam. I could just hem it from the top side. Like I could just roll the hem to the right side and stitch it down and give it a fake cuff look. It would just show my French seam would show right here. You know? But yeah, you could just turn your sleeve to the right side and edge stitch it and it would give it a fake cuff vibe. But your underarm seam would show. If you wanted to do that when you put your sleeve on, you would just put your French seam on the wrong side of the garment. But then it would show here, so you can't do that. You'd have to flip it. Cool. All right. Well, I am finally not a Donny virgin. Happy to say. Oh, really? You're old and I wear tunics, as one contestant on NPR quiz shows. So, what is that? Did they really say that? Tunics, you know, the coastal grandma look. I can respond to the guild poll now because I didn't, because there was no 0 option. Well, thanks for coming along on the ride, you guys. Yeah, I really like the sleeve length. I think that's it. I'm into it. I like all my changes. It turned out cute. Pocket, not a huge fan. It's too far forward. I should move it over. I don't know. The pocket's kind of weird. It looks okay though. All right, well, so let's see. Next week are workshops in the guild, and then it's May, which means it'll be Me Made May soon. And maybe I should have planned something, but I have time. I'll try and think of something. I have a couple more projects for hearts to sew. I have a dress and I have a tunic. So we'll do one of those probably too. Maybe we can do some fitting things. I don't know. I don't usually do much for Me Made May, but I was thinking about doing something for the guild. I think I'll have a new pattern by May, so we could do that too. So, all right, guys, I love this color. This color's great. My hair is just so like bright on this camera today. Yeah. Well, have a good weekend. If anyone's going to be in Sacramento at the American Sewing Guild fabric sale, which you can just Google American Sewing Guild Sacramento fabric sale, you can say hi. I'll be there 10-ish. I know a couple of guildies are coming. So if you want to come, come. So thanks. I appreciate that. I love this color, Justine. Red and green, those are my colors. All right, guys, I'll see you guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for sewing the Donny and fitting it with me, too. Bye.